Hello. It's the Minnesota Pubcast. Minnesota.
What was that? How'd that go?
Pubcast.
The Pubcast.
Pubcast.
Why are you saying it like that now?
I'm
You're a weirdo?
enunciating.
Oh, I see. I see. Over enunciating, I might say, actually.
I just came back from a presentation. where
How'd
I
that
had
go,
to
by the way?
Just really be clear and concise.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right there with you.
We're on the same page tonight. That's good.
Yeah.
It was good.
Good.
It went really well. Dallas was, it was big. Dallas was big.
First time, I take it then?
Yeah,
if that's
yeah.
your comment?
I kind of knew it would be, but you fly in and you really are quite far, 3 times as far to downtown Dallas as it is from Minneapolis.
Okay.
Because when you land, you can see the skyline way off in the distance. But man, it had to be at least a 45-hour drive
Wow.
to downtown Dallas, and then from there it's just sprawling. I mean, it's all houses and corporations and
everything is bigger in Texas, right?
everything's bigger. Everything's bigger. There was a lot of construction. It was hot. Didn't really get to see there weren't the people walking around in cowboy hats. I thought there'd be more of that. Maybe that's more Houston though.
Yeah, I think
I've
that's
been into
not
Houston
Dallas
before.
as much, yeah.
Yeah, not and it's
Although I feel like you would see some really rich dudes in a cowboy hat still, even in Dallas. There'd have to be a couple with big belt buckles, but wearing a nice suit.
I was a little disappointed, but I was also at one of the biggest airports in the country, so you get kind of everybody there. And then from there, I kind of went right to the hotel and to where there's a lot of people like me traveling on business. But I did, right when I sat down on the bus to the rental car place, there was a woman from North Carolina. She had just flown in, and she sells very sweet, very pretty Southern. I did like the accent, so everyone said, "You all right, y'all?
Oh, yeah.
Doing well, y'all?" And she sells the capsules that the medicine or the vitamins go in to pharmaceutical companies. So her company produces the capsules and she sells them. I thought the pharmaceutical companies would do it all.
Yeah, I did not know that was a separate thing.
Yeah, so she had a full...
Nor did I even think of that as being a business. Yeah, I guess I just always thought of that's part of making pills.
Right? That's exactly what I thought. But
so the pharmaceuticals make the tiny little beads that go in the pills or the capsules, and then they make them?
They make the capsules, and the pharmaceutical companies make the medicine to go in the capsules. Like the capsules themselves, she said, are just gelatin, and if they're colored, gelatin and dye.
So how does she separate her product from others? I mean, what the hell?
I mean,
or
I
do
guess
they have the market cornered?
No, she said there's about 4 or 5. I learned a lot in this 5 minutes,
Sounds like
obviously. She had a whole kind of pill case full of different, products, empty, obviously. And they're all different shapes and sizes, and I'm assuming dependent on the dosage, some things work better for other medicines or vitamins or whatever. I guess price, color, quality, if they fall apart, if they're easy to swallow, if they're...
I was thinking more along the lines of they dissolve faster so the medicine hits you
or
quicker,
that.
things like that,
Totally.
where it'd be more effective in getting you the desired effect from whatever medicine.
Absolutely. So there's 4 or 5 companies, big companies that create capsules.
Interesting.
And I'm sure they all offer different, but she said most of her clients are clients we know, like Pfizer and all the big ones.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So
what a great product to sell. If you're good at selling, that would be one that you think you could sell all day.
Totally.
It's you pretty much need it, especially if you're like a Pfizer or something like that. I mean, you can't do your thing without it, which also sounds to me like it would be a regulatory thing. I wonder if this is something where the companies aren't allowed to make it themselves. Because why wouldn't Pfizer just want to do that themselves? Why wouldn't you do all of it in-house? Why would you create all of this product and then go, but then we just need the box, but we'll get that from somewhere else?
You can probably get it for cheaper than having a whole system.
See, and I think it would be cheaper if you had it yourself.
I don't know.
But well, would you get her on the? Did you get her phone number? Did you get some
No,
Facebook contact? No,
I didn't.
Well, all right, well.
Should figure it out.
I
But
guess we learned something either way there.
Yeah.
That those companies even exist. So that's interesting.
She was like a chill pharmaceutical rep. Like not as hard as a pharmaceutical rep. Not quite as hard.
Well, you've seen Thank You for Smoking, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So nothing like
movie.
that.
No, she
Okay.
was very sweet and very pretty.
All right.
And, travels all over the country.
Very pretty. All right. Next time you do need to get contact.
I don't know.
No,
I
I'm
feel
just kidding. I'm not trying to go North Carolina anyway.
I feel like if you're in that industry, you have to be attractive.
Sales or pharmaceuticals?
Both.
Yeah. Well, sales in general and everything you sell,
Totally.
it helps. I mean,
Absolutely.
even if you're over the phone, you have to have an attractive voice.
Yes.
Yeah, that definitely helps.
But she's obviously doing the in-person thing. She travels around, sells it in person with all of her capsules, and she was very, very cute. She looked exactly like the girl from, what's it called? American Horror Story, who's been on it. Did you ever watch that?
I watched the first season, and then I gave up.
She's been on all 3 seasons. She was the woman that went blind this season because she got acid thrown in her face, the witch.
Wow.
Anyway, very pretty. Sarah something. Okay, let's move on.
Anyway.
Sorry.
Well, we do have something we really do want to talk about. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, actually. But the top story of the night being the last show of David Letterman. First of all, where do you stand on the late night TV front? Do you watch it? And if so, who is your? Well, it'd be a guy since there's no gal. Who is your guy if you have one?
Okay. I used to watch it almost every night. Just late night in general. I would switch between Jay, Dave, and Conan. And then I was pretty much standard Conan for a long time.
Okay, you're one of those people.
And honestly, right when Conan, that whole fiasco happened, I kind of dropped off the face of the planet. And now if I do have it on, it's always Jimmy Fallon. But I mostly digest late night shows in the daytime in the form of YouTube clips.
Okay, that's okay. Very interesting point to
Jimmy,
jump on right away.
Jimmy and Jimmy both do a great job at that.
Well, they're professionals at that. Yes, they are all about viral and short clips that you can get and share with people. That they're very smart when it comes to that. And Dave has always been anti that.
Sure. Well, I don't know about anti that, but just
he never
not in the
adopted it.
generation.
Yeah, he
totally.
just never adopted social media, which is totally fine. But I think what you nailed right there, and what we're looking at right now, and this is basically the last one. He's the last guy that it was appointment watching, and it was for a lot of people every night. That was what you did before bed. I mean, I used to watch Dave every single night.
Yeah.
And not even because I couldn't wait to see Dave. It was just that was kind of the routine.
What was on.
And because I didn't like Jay. I never thought Jay Leno was funny. I think actually, like, I've seen him on comedians in cars getting coffee. Jesus, that's it, right? With Seinfeld, and he's a hilarious guy when he's not doing that show.
That's so interesting you say that, because I was actually just talking to the woman I was traveling with, who used to be the director of events at Target. And Target obviously brings in all these high-profile people, so she would hang out with, like Julie Andrews. And I said, who was one of the nicest people ever, and who was one of the biggest assholes? And were you surprised? And she said, the person that stuck out to me is one of the nicest ever, on top of Julie Andrews, obviously, Jay Leno. She said, so funny, so generous, so kind. And he comes off that way. He's never come off as an asshole, but he's not that funny.
But you would believe it if you were told he's an asshole, right? I think just from his little shtick and even his voice, I think if someone said, oh, he was a prick to me at the airport or something, you'd be like, oh, yeah, I believe that.
Okay, sure.
But yes, I've heard nothing but good things about him. That he's actually just a really, really cool, nice guy.
Yeah.
I mean, Carolla recently, on one of his podcasts recently, was talking about the first time he ever met him, or one of the first times he ever met him. And they were doing a show at the same theater. It's got to be like in Vegas or something, because he said Vegas. Sorry, because Leno was in the 3,000 seater and then Carolla was in the 1,000 seater, and Leno was like, "What are you doing after? Like, you want to ride home with me?" Right now, this is from Vegas to LA.
Yeah,
and so
4 hours.
Carolla even kind of talks about, he's like, "All right, we jump in the car and we roll." No. So Leno finishes first, and he even asks, he's like, so when do you get done? And he's like, oh, well, I'm on an hour later, so I'm done an hour later. Carolla is. He's like, all right, I'll wait for you. He hangs out in Carolla's dressing room. They drive out of there, go straight to the airport, jump on the private jet, fly back. He said they were on the plane, wheels in the air, within a half an hour of being done with his set. Like, I've never done anything like that where you're on a plane that quickly from anything. Like, that's just so cool.
That's like the president status. That's
exactly.
like Obama or Oprah,
exactly,
or Beyonce or Jay-Z
or Jay Leno.
Or Jay Leno,
and was just, hey, I'll give you a ride, and then drove him home and brought him home at 3:00 in the morning. Like, just that to me, I never would have thought that. And you know what? That's something David Letterman would never do. From what I hear and what you understand and what this personality that we know of him, that's not the nice guy.
No, and I don't think Dave is. Actually, I just read this, 2,000 word piece, whatever, Rolling Stone.
Okay.
He's on the cover of Rolling Stone this week. Great article. Comes off as nice. I think he's actually a nice guy, but totally introverted.
Well, he's a weirdo. I think he's a weirdo. And I don't just, because I don't think you're a weirdo by being an introvert. I mean, I think he's an introvert, and then he's got like 3 other neuroses. You know what I mean? Like, he's a
little neurotic, and his best friends are kind of neurotic. Like, he hangs out with Bill Murray.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like the people he surrounds himself with are also weird like him, in a good way, and I think that's something we need to think about with a guy like David Letterman. Any talent like that, don't expect them to be just a chummy guy that you could also just sit down and talk with. That in general, great artists like that.
Well, Johnny Carson wasn't like that.
No, he was a hermit, wasn't he? He never came out in public.
Nobody saw him after he left the Tonight Show.
Yeah, he disappeared. And that's the other thing I want to bring up in this whole the last show of Letterman was. Okay, I tried watching it last night. I watched Bill Murray jump out of the cake, and it was cool. And he hugged him when he was full of frosting, and even actually rubbed Letterman's hair, which is always funny to see anyone do. And you could just see the look on Letterman's face. It's like, is that still am I good?
Right.
But I watched it for 5 minutes, and I went, shit, this hockey game's going to OT. Like I couldn't stay with it, and I'm a Letterman guy, always was. I don't care anymore, and I don't feel. I think that they're trying to, the last 2 weeks of shows, if you've been reading about this at all, it sounds like they're trying to make this like a Carson farewell, but I don't feel it. I think it's a combination of we don't watch TV the same way, and Letterman's no Carson. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it just means that it's his time to go, and I think he knows that. I don't think he's doing anything wrong. I don't think it's going to be bad the way he goes out. But I don't know.
No, I just don't. It's being. I mean, it's the. I joked, and maybe we'll get to this later. But I joked in our little spreadsheet or whatever that I just read the last 4 days. I've seen these little headlines hidden of these banks being fined billions of dollars for setting these rates and fucking with money and currency all over the world. And I've seen that 100th of the times I've seen stuff about Letterman's last week. And that's what I mean. They're making it this big deal, but I don't think it is. Yeah, it's the biggest story of the last week and a half. But I don't know if I would really like to ask a 20-year-old if they give a shit. Like if there's,
I think a
20-year-old would have cared about Carson leaving. I think it was a bigger deal to the. Maybe that's a bit too. Nobody under 30 gives a shit.
But think about there wasn't anybody else on late night really when Carson was on. That it was Johnny Carson, and that was it.
It was the Tonight Show.
And now there's been.
That's true.
There are all these other great talents out there for various reasons, and I don't think it's whether he's because he doesn't go on. He's not like YouTubeable. Not because he's old and tired. I just think that there's a lot of different people out there now. And us growing up, it was, like I said, I would watch Jay and then I would switch over to Dave, and I liked them both for different reasons. Mm-hmm. And so we didn't grow up with this one defining person in our TV every night.
And we watched it grow to, 3. I mean, you saw Jimmy Kimmel start an ABC late night show, which never existed. And then, I mean, you have Conan, who ended up going to TBS of all places, but still did get a following. I don't know how well that show's really done, but I was never a Conan guy to begin with.
He's goofy.
He's one of those guys where I have seen him do things that were very funny, but I don't find him funny in general. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like he's nailed a few bits, but in general, I'm like, I don't need him.
He resonates with me for some reason. He always has, and I don't know what it is about him. I don't know if he's just strange and quirky. That's why I like him. I don't know, because Dave can be a little too dry and curmudgeon-y, but I need that sometimes.
Yep, and I love that.
And then Jay is just a little too much like blue collar for me.
And too friendly.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. And sometimes and then I don't want the too friendly. Sometimes it's very much my mood and and also who's on,
Now, you wouldn't have had this problem, but it was tough for me to watch Dave especially in those like 1500 years, those super right wing Bush backing years, because he was such a dick when it comes to politics. And I appreciate this about him, but he does not hold back, and he is not subtle. I mean, he tells you what he thinks, and you know where he stands politically. And I think that, I mean, maybe that's not ballsy because he's left in the media. That's not a ballsy thing to do. I mean, most of the media is kind of considered left, but I still think it was kind of ballsy for him to, because he's not supposed to do that. That's not supposed to be his role. He's supposed to talk about, there's political satire, and he should comment on things going on.
That would go either way. That are easy to make
which
fun
is
of.
what Craig Ferguson actually did, and I liked that about him too. He was actually pretty good at, and Craig Ferguson was a righty, but he would just bash everybody and just had fun with it. Whereas Letterman, I don't think. Don't get me wrong, he would make fun of Hillary and make fun of left people, but in general, he would stay away from them, and he would fucking go after people on the right.
Yeah, I mean, he was a little angry for a while, I could tell.
And he was very angry. Yeah, I think he actually still is. I think he's just kind of an angry old guy. Maybe the kid helped. I mean, he said George or whatever his name is.
I think after he had that big sex scandal, I think things changed for him, and especially within this last, year, I think he's just been a little bit happier, but maybe that's me. Well, I think he just doesn't care anymore. Maybe he's just having fun.
Well, I think that the pressure of that job, I mean, even if you and I did a podcast 5 days a week and we were making money enough to just live on it, just 5 day a week podcast, the pressure would be on us to do it well. Because
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, not that the pressure's not on anyway. I mean, we still want to do a good show for you guys. But when you're getting paid to do something and you're making a living doing it, there's more pressure. And especially when it's entertainment.
You really don't want to fuck up.
When you're doing it, when you're on national television on one of the 3 big networks, and you're the guy for so many years, the pressure, just to know that you're done, even a year ago or whenever you made this decision, that pressure had to be off. Like, it had to just be like,
Yeah, and I think the pressure is off, and I think this is from Rolling Stone as well, but it sounds like he's just looking forward to fishing and going to Montana and hanging out with his son, and being relaxed and being the introvert that he really is. Like, there's like this strange dichotomy of his personality where he has one half that craved to be on TV and to interview, and then this other half where he just was totally withdrawn, which I find fascinating. Because you'd think it would be one or the other, but
I've met people in media that are that way. They're because I don't know what it is. Maybe it's something about their childhood or something. But there's this need for an outlet, and there's this need for attention, but only kind of in that world, whether it be TV or radio. And then then you step out of that, and they're like, leave me alone. I just want to go into my shell and go home. And that is so weird. And I think it's the best at it. Like, I mean, I'll say it. Mishki was kind of like that. I mean, Mishki, when you turn a mic on or you bring in those phone calls, he is fucking on fire. But you turn it off, and he turns into back to a normal person kind of. And he's not a normal guy. He's a weirdo, but in a good way. But there's a stage, whether it be on TV or radio, and then when you come off that stage, it's just different. Your outlook has to be.
Well, and also fascinating, as much as I remember him saying that he wants to go fishing and whatever, he was also trying to figure out what his next move was, because he said that, unlike Carson, he really doesn't want to go into this, like, no one's going to see me again. He was like, stand-up doesn't feel right.
Follow Seinfeld.
I don't know if it's doing, I can't remember what the one thing he suggested that was, I can't remember what it was. I'll have to look it up. But yes, he was pissed because he was like, Seinfeld had the best idea. He was like, shit, I should do that, but on horses in Montana.
Or in race cars or something. He should do an interview while driving a race car, like at 200 miles an hour, but still be interviewing somebody and cut that down to 5 minutes. I mean, that's the thing.